Judas Priest has been on my hit list for quite a while, and I really wanted to do him when Invincible Shield came out, but unfortunately that record came out when I started my Rush Marathon, so that wasn't nice. But here we are, a year later, finally talking about Judas Priest. And as anyone who listens to metal, Judas Priest has been around me for quite a while now. However, I have not heard more than like 5 records until a couple of months ago. So it's really just been the main records that I've listened to, and everything else a song here or there. But finally diving into the discography was, yes, long overdue. Suppose we could dive right in. We got 19 albums to talk about, including one really bad one. Demolition is just a waste of time. It just sucks, dude. Like, going into the Ripper Owens albums, I was kind of expecting, kind of like a Blaze Bayley Iron Maiden style thing where, okay, the records aren't as held in high regard, but I figured maybe they're a little overhated, But no, not this one at least. Demolition is straight up garbage. And the fact that it's 70 minutes, I think this is, besides the double disc album, I think this is the longest record. And that's a straight up crime, dude. Metal Messiah is, by a country mile, the worst Judas Priest song. The first 2 minutes of that track is just straight dog piss. Please don't bring rap into Judas Priest. I would much rather that stay the hell away. Just like I'm going to stay the hell away from this record, because, man, dude, at least with like the fucking Blaze Bayley Iron Maiden records, you have at least, you got Sign of the Cross, The Klansman, Future Real. There's at least a few good songs, and there is fucking nothing on this album. It sucks. And again, going into Nostradamus, I did know that it wasn't very well received. However, I wasn't prepared for how boring it actually was. It's so much slow, symphonic, boring core. That's all it is. Anything that's remotely faster or, metal sounding is pretty kick-ass. You got the opening track followed by Prophecy, goes pretty hard. Revelations, Pestilence and Plague, Persecution. The only decent song on the whole second disc is the title track, which is at the very end. And and it's just surrounded by so much slow, not interesting music. Like, even just the beginning, like the first maybe like 4 tracks, it's not until the track War comes on where I'm like, and then it just stays pretty So yeah, it's a shame, because it started off super strong. Like, I think it could have been great. 2 discs, probably extremely unnecessary, but at least has some other good tracks, unlike Demolition's Hoas, which has 0 minutes of good music. And then we have Ram It Down, which, at least the title track, I do like or not the title track, Heavy Metal. I mean, the title track's decent too, but I did like Heavy Metal as well. And the Johnny B. Good cover is pretty solid too. But I mean, I think at this point, the last few records, like the late 80s stuff, was getting pretty meh, as we'll get into shortly here again. But at least the one after this one was really good. Yeah, at this point, there's just a lot of whatever songs, especially with like Monsters of Rock, dude. Like the last track, just like, man, I don't like this song. Okay, maybe a bit surprising, but Jugulator is not on the bottom right next to Demolition because this one, at least this one has a unique identity, which is really the reason why it's obviously not. I mean, it's also, number 15, so it's not super high because it's just Judas Priest trying to be Pantera, and I'm just like, nah. But like I said, it has a very unique style. I mean, it really is like the heaviest record they have. Even with the production, it just sounded so big. And that's another reason why Demolition was so trash. Like, that album came after this, and this one had such like a monstrous sound, and Demolition just sounded like ass. So, man, I just can't get over how bad that record was. Yeah, Bloodstained, I thought, had a pretty solid main riff, but that's basically about it. Like, I think by the halfway point, I was really ready for this album to be over because it's very much a stylistic change from their other albums. For better or worse, like I said, it's unique enough where it's worthy of existing, but I don't want to listen to it again. And then we have Turbo, which Private Property is pretty fun. I do like that, but maybe that's just the Def Leppard kid in me. Because it's a decent record, although it very much sounds like something Warrant or Twisted Sister or like, you know, one of those bands would put out. It's just so far from like what they're good at, you know. Like the first 4 tracks are pretty decent. Turbo Lover alone pretty much saved this record from being below Jugulator. But yeah. A lot of this album is just meh, but I do like Private Property and Turbo Lover. Good stuff. Rock-a-Rolla, dude, the title track was stuck in my head for like 2 days straight. That shit's groovy as hell and super catchy. Great track. Also, Run of the Mill, I thought was pretty also kick-ass, especially like the last half of it, where they're like really jamming. Yeah, like I think this is another one that gets overlooked quite a bit, and you know, there's definitely some low moments on here, but it's good enough to at least acknowledge its existence. You know, like bands got to start somewhere. But maybe I'm a little more lenient on debut records because Rush's debut record also is not very high praised, although I fucking love it. So I don't love Rock-a-Rolla, but I imagine this is probably at least higher than most people would put it. Sin After Sin's got a couple other good songs. We have Starbreaker. I really like the constant chugging of that song. Then we have Raw Deal. I think it's a pretty solid track as well. Main thing holding this one back, I think, is just the production sounds kind of weak. It's too much on the high end. There's like really no low end. Like it sounds like there's like zero bass on this at all. So maybe it was just because it was really old. I mean, isn't that like their third record or something? But yeah, it's still at least consistently better than Rock-a-Rolla and Turbo. That's for damn sure. Alright, so Redeemer of Souls, I don't know, maybe it was just because I listened to the last 3 albums in a row, but they all have a very similar vibe. Like, they all pretty much kind of sound like they could be all from the same record. However, the other 2 the most recent 2 albums definitely have at least more highlights than this record. And I just feel like on this one especially, the vocals just kind of feel a bit off. Like, especially on March of the Damned is a pretty good example. It just sounds like Rob is like phoning it in. And, you know, it's just like, it sounds like he honestly just didn't even want to like make this record. But yeah, Hell and Back is pretty solid. I did like that one. Also Metalizer. Those 2 songs were pretty decent. But at this point, you know, the record, they're like an hour long, and you know, like I just mentioned, it's very similar sounding to the other albums, and this one is just kind of, it's decent, but yeah, nothing too special. Angel of Retribution, aka Judas Priest's Retribution, after the absolute trash heap that was Demolition. Rob comes back and kicks some ass with Judas Rising and Deal with the Devil. Revolution, worth fighting for. Not too much of a fan of those. Hell Rider, the leads are pretty damn sick. It kind of feels like very epic Iron Maiden-esque. Just that song had some really cool leads on there too. Eulogy I thought was pretty solid too. I'm not as crazy about Angel as everyone else seems to be, because it is by far the most listened to song on this album. But it was decent. And Loch Ness too. Loch Ness is decent. I mean, it's 13 minutes, but that opening and also closing pitch harmonic riff was pretty damn annoying. So that one's treading on thin ice, but the whole middle part of it, that was pretty decent track. But yeah, mainly Judas Rising, Deal with the Devil, and Hell Rider. 3 pretty goddamn good songs. Defenders of the Faith, of course, has the Sentinel, which is pretty goddamn badass. I mean, that's a really good song. But there's like a handful of songs I could live without. Rock Hard, Ride Free, and Love Bites. I prefer Def Leppard's Love Bites. But that's just me. I don't know about everyone else. But yeah, also, dude, the transition to the last track between Heavy Duty and the title track was pretty damn good. I mean, it goes from like this anthem to this bigger anthem. I don't know. It was just a really smooth transition. Some heads are gonna roll. I really like the chorus in that song. The opener too, Free Will Burning's pretty good. They were just, yeah. Now we're just getting to like the pretty damn good albums. Victim of Change is obviously the best song in this album. Dream Deceiver was also pretty tasty. And I don't know, I thought like overall, like there's a lot of decent riffs on this record. Deceiver, Tyrant, Genocide. They're all nice and riffy, but whoa. They're all nice and riffy. But I guess song-wise, I don't know. I just wasn't like super into them. And then we have Epitaph, which I honestly didn't. I thought that was someone else singing it because it doesn't even sound like Rob. So I guess that shows his range. Pretty good. But yeah, dude. It's mostly because the first 3 tracks, all right? This is kind of like the opposite of what I say a lot, where I like an album, but not the last 3 songs. This one is like, I like the first 3 songs, but everything else is pretty kind of okay. Point of entry, I'm more leaning towards the first half of the album as opposed to the second half, because the second half has a lot of pretty whatever songs, and judging by this play count, everyone seems to agree. Because heading out to the highway, just another really good track. I think Judas Priest is very good at making some road tripping music. Hot Rockin' also pretty damn good. Yeah, like I said, it's just mainly just that first half that is pretty damn good. And we got the newest album, Invincible Shield, and this one, like I mentioned with Redeemer Souls, is just has better highlights. You know, we got Panic Attack, The Serpent and the King, the title track, Crown of Horns, pretty damn good. I do not like Escape from Reality though. Wasn't a big fan of that one, and again, it's just so long. I don't know why, like, especially like past the 2000s, why every album has to be like so long. Just because you can fit more music on a disc doesn't mean you have to fill up all the memory on it. I don't know. Like, did it need to be 15 songs? I'm not sure, but whatever. We'll get into this more when I talk about Firepower, but I think it might be like consistently better overall. However, the songs I like on Firepower I like a whole lot more than really any of these songs I just mentioned on this record. Alright, with Killing Machine, now we're starting to get into the really good stuff. Delivering the Goods, awesome kick-ass intro track. Hellbent for Leather is damn good, although I thought it's a lot shorter than I remember it being. Like when I first heard it, I don't know, it's just like whizzes by so quickly. Kind of wish it was longer, but it's short, but it is a total jam. The Green Man Alishi, Fleetwood Mac cover, pretty solid. Evil Fantasy is not a big fan of, and also Take on the World, like I think is like so lame. Like it's just like trying so hard to be an anthem, and it's just like so dumb. Not gonna lie, I'm not much a fan of that song at all. But yeah, just some good stuff on here. Screaming for Vengeance, I mean, the Hellion is straight up the best intro to like any album ever. Like that is number one best intro to an album I ever heard in my life. And then that drop into Electric Eye kicks a lot of ass. Of course, you got another thing coming on here. I do not much like Pain and Pleasure, but everything else on here, Devil's Child too. Don't want to forget that one. Very good. This is just kind of just when they were, in their GOAT phase and just pumping out good ass album after good ass album. I had Firepower, number 4, because when this came out, I was not expecting, I was not expecting to like it as much as I did because, dude, the title track, man, straight up one of their best songs. Top 5 Judas Priest song. I don't give a shit. Firepower, such a goddamn good song. Lightning Strike also kicks a lot of ass. Necromancer, Traitor's Gate, No Surrender, good ass motherfucking songs. Nothing on here that I really dislike. Again, 14 songs, quite a lot, but like I said, with Invisible Shield, I guess I like that one consistently more, because even on the songs I didn't mention, I liked the songs on Invisible Shield more. However, because of Firepower, because of Lightning Strike, because of Necromancer, I gotta put this one above it, because this is some top tier Priest action right here. But as much as I like Firepower, Stained Class is just too goddamn goated. The first 4 tracks are just so solid. Exciter, the title track, White Heat, Red Hot, Better You, Better Than Me. All really damn good songs. Not crazy about Invader. But then we get to Beyond the Realms of Death, which has just such a good solo in there. Like, the vast majority of this record is just so solid. I don't know which of these songs that was the... I think it was Better By You, Better Than Me was the song that those 2 absolute morons killed themselves to. Because the song was telling them to. I listened to it, looked at the lyrics. I think they were just stupid. And man, when I looked at my list, I was like, man, is British Steel really going to be number 2? Is it really that good? And I was going through it again, and it really is that good. Rapid Fire kicks ass. Obviously, we have Breaking the Law, which is by far their biggest song. And then I always really loved Living After Midnight. I mean, that was I know that's another big song, but as a child, that was one of the first songs that really made me like metal. So that's a very important song to me. But yeah, then we have Grinder, really solid song. Stealer, kicks ass. You Don't Have to Be Old to Be Wise is pretty damn good too. Metal Gods is good. The chorus is kind of like not too crazy about the chorus in that song. I also don't really like United. Again, I don't think their anthems are very good, but maybe that's just me. But yeah, and that leaves us into number one. And like I mentioned at the beginning, how I only really heard like 5 albums before diving into them. And I wasn't even concerned that anything would even remotely be able to match number one, because I have mentioned it before, because this album is straight up in like my top 20 albums of all time. Because every single goddamn song on Painkiller is goated. First of all, before we get into any of the songs, I think it has the single best introduction to a new member the world has ever seen. Hey guys, we got a new drummer. He's like the 6th or 7th dude. How are we going to introduce this guy who's going to be with us for the rest of our career? I don't know. How about like this? Single best introduction ever. I'm probably going to get copyrighted for that, but, you know, totally worth it, because Scott Travis is a fucking maniac. And I don't think I mentioned this in Firepower, but also the reason that one was so high, because it felt like a spiritual successor to this album. I actually do not know if I mentioned that, but in case I didn't, there you go. But yeah, Painkiller, obviously, fucking amazing song. Like, you already know. Hell Patrol, great chorus. All Guns Blazing, great song. Leather Rebel. Like, if I were to like rank these songs, obviously Painkiller's number one. Number two, probably Metal Meltdown. Fucking love that song. Really like, especially like the chorus in there. Then All Guns Blazing probably, and then we have Nightcrawler, super underrated song. I mean, I don't know about underrated, but it's really good. Like, then we have like Hell Patrol, and God, did I even mention Leather Rebel? I don't know. I'm just kind of like geeking out over this record because it is so fucking good. And even like the lowest moment, I would probably say, is like A Touch of Evil. But even then, like, it's a great song. Like, Living Bad Dreams, I think that's a bonus track. But, you know, it's extra credit, so they got the extra credit right. It's a great song. One Shot at Glory, another great track. Between the Hammer and the Anvil. Yo, I have... please put it on screen. I took back in high school, in shop class, I took a stupid photo and was like, yo, it looks like my project is Between the Hammer and the Anvil. Because even back then, I was fucking geeking out over this album because it's that damn good. It's been number one since I first heard it, and there was no way in hell anything was gonna even match it going into listening to the discography. So yeah, Painkiller is just fucking all of them are just firing on all cylinders. And it's just crazy that like the album before this and the album after this are like in the bottom 4 on my list. Like, they hit a low moment, they peaked, and then they went right back down after this album because Rob left. And yeah, it's whatever. But yeah, Painkiller is the GOAT. No doubt in my mind, no question about it. Absolutely kick-ass album, and that's why it's number one. So that'll be it. Let me know what your favorite albums are. Sorry it took about 50 days to get another video up, but as you can imagine, going through 19 albums takes a while. Also, I was only listening to a few of them each week. And also, I'm also been working on the next ranking, which is going to be a doozy. Let me tell you what. Legitimately some of the worst albums I ever heard in my life, but they also have some really good songs. So that's going to be interesting. And but I'll see you all a little later because your boy is going to London.